When I became a widower, I didn't mention the pension my wife left with me or our second home in Spain. It wasn't out of secrecy. It was out of breath. Grief doesn't leave space for paperwork or bank balances. It simply consumes. People see you in a black suit, standing stiff at the graveside, and assume that's the worst of it. They don't see the aftershocks, the silence of the house that was once too loud, the toothbrush still in its cup, untouched for days you don't remember passing. A week after the funeral, my wife's parents sent me a message with clear instructions. Start packing. The house has been sold. No, how are you? No, we're here if you need anything. Just those 5 words, as if clearing out a life could be done with the same detachment as moving furniture. The house was in her name. It had been gifted by their side of the family as a wedding present. But now that she was gone, they didn't waste a moment reclaiming it. The second home in Spain, our quiet escape, our secret, was mine alone. Her parents didn't know it existed. That house in Valencia became my refuge. By the time I booked the flight, I had no idea if I was escaping grief, anger, or just them. Spain in late October is quieter. The beaches shed their tourists like autumn leaves, and the city breathes at a softer pace. I had no plans, no ambitions. I simply existed in a villa that still held her perfume in the linen closet. That's where I met her. Lucia was the property manager for the villa complex, a role she wore lightly, like everything else about her. She was the opposite of what I expected from the world in those days. Warm, intrusive, even the kind of person who believed that sharing a plate of olives and a bottle of wine was as essential as breathing. Our first conversation was transactional. A light fixture needed replacing. But there was something in the way she lingered after, her questions tiptoeing from practicalities to personal. She asked about my accent, my stay, my life. I didn't mention my wife. I didn't mention the black hole I carried in my chest. But loneliness has a way of soaking into your words, whether you intend it or not. Days turned into weeks. She started arriving with excuses. I thought you might need fresh towels, or I was in the area, until we both silently agreed that excuses weren't necessary. She'd arrive at sunset, with a knowing smile and some local delicacy I couldn't pronounce, and we'd sit on the terrace, watching the sky turn amber. One evening, after too many glasses of Rioja, she asked about the ring. I still wore it. I hadn't realized it was still on my finger until that moment. She must have been very loved, Lucia said softly, her gaze not judging but reading. And for the first time, I told someone about Claire, about how we met, how we loved, how we planned, and how none of it prepared me for her sudden departure. A car accident on a Monday morning. The last words we shared were routine, mundane. I never got a chance to say anything worthy of a last conversation. Lucia didn't speak. She simply moved closer, not out of pity but presence. The kind of presence you don't know you need until it's offered. What started as companionship blurred quickly. Grief is disorienting. It muddles timelines and weakens boundaries. I don't know when I cross a line from conversation to something far more intimate. I just know that one night, as a Mediterranean breeze whispered to the open windows, Lucia kissed me, and I let her. It wasn't passionate. Not at first. It was hesitant, searching, like both of us were trying to find meaning in something neither of us fully understood. But that night became a pattern, and that pattern became a need. I told myself it was innocent, that Claire would understand, that Lucia was a salve for wounds that wouldn't heal on their own. But lying to others is easy. Lying to yourself leaves a sour taste you can't rinse out. 3 months passed. I extended my stay with flimsy justifications. Back home, Claire's parents were settling her estate, dividing memories like assets. I wanted no part in it. Spain became my rebellion, and Lucia my accomplice. But affairs, even the ones birthed from grief, aren't sustainable fantasies. They demand clarity, and clarity comes whether you're ready or not. One morning, Lucia stood at the kitchen counter, flipping through a folder of papers she had no business opening. Among them were Claire's pension details, letters from her solicitor, and photographs, old, faded, but intimate. Claire's handwriting was on the back of one photo, our secret place. Lucia looked up, a storm gathering behind her eyes. You never told me about her. Not like this. I told you what mattered. I said, the defense weak even in my own ears. No, she said, shaking her head. You told me what was convenient. I wanted to argue, to explain that grief doesn't come a manual, that my intentions would never betray. But explanations are brittle when trust has been eroded. She left that morning, and the villa that once felt like a sanctuary became a suffocating shell. A week passed. Then, too, I heard nothing from Lucia. And then, as if the universe wasn't done teaching me lessons in loss, I received another message from Claire's parents. We finalized the sale. You'll need to sign the release for the Spain property. We found a buyer. The Spain property. The house they had no idea existed. They had found it, or perhaps Claire had told them, in ways I never anticipated. Secrets have a way of clawing themselves into daylight. I sat on that message for hours, rereading it, feeling every layer of betrayal and guilt I had amassed. The villa wasn't just a house. It was a shrine to a version of myself that no longer existed. And now, even that was slipping through my fingers. When I finally saw Lucia again, it wasn't on my terms. She came to the villa with a clipboard, professional, detached. I'm here for property viewing. They sent me. There was no warmth, no lingering glance. She was a stranger now, wearing the face of someone I had once allowed to fill a void. I never meant for this to happen, I said, but apologies are currency with no value in situations like these. Lucia didn't reply. She simply walked past me into the house we had both, in different ways, defiled. The villa sold in a matter of weeks. I returned to England, not as a man who had escaped his grief, but as someone who had compounded it. In the end, I was left with memories that didn't know where they belonged. Claire's memory didn't fit in the house her parents sold. Lucia's presence didn't belong in the villa that had once been our secret place. And I, a man who had thought he was running towards solace, realized too late that I had only been running in circles. Grief doesn't care for new beginnings. And cheating, whether on a partner or on the past, only creates wounds that bleed longer. But perhaps the cruelest betrayal wasn't towards Claire or Lucia or even myself. It was towards the illusion that time and distance could ever dilute the weight of unfinished love.